guys, welcome back to Strong Successful Mail. So for today, I'm going to go over an email that was sent from a subscriber. This is from a guy. He is 66 years old, and he shares his story about events that happened 50 years ago when he was in high school at 16 years old, and shows you that the same nonsense that happened back then, or the same nonsense that happens now, happened back then. In this situation, he had his first real girlfriend, and discovered not only did she cheat on him, but she got pregnant with some other dude's child. And boom, he dumped her like a smart guy would. And this whole thing is about how she just kept coming back into his life. Because obviously, as a single MOM, and the choices she makes, she kept picking the wrong guys, and it shows that they always come back. And our guy, fortunately, was smart enough not to get involved with her. But before I get into this story, guys, I'm going to introduce a new segment to the channel that I'm going to do rather frequently, which I'm going to call the Idiot of the Day, where I'm going to show you a brief clip of somebody making a fool of themselves that we can have a little fun roasting. And this particular one, this is from a young gal, looks like she's in college, and she's crying and carrying on TikTok because a couple guys gave her a reality check that, A, guys are not that interested more and more about getting involved with the single MOMs. And number two, they also don't want to get involved with ones that have a reputation for being the village bicycle. So listen to this.
In the span of 24 hours, I had one man tell me that nobody will date a girl with a kid. And then I vented to another guy about the person who said that. And then he told me, no, that's not true. But a man doesn't want to date a girl who's slept with a lot of guys. 2 for 2.
Oh, poor baby. Honey, if you're getting repeatedly rejected by guys out there, that's because no guy or no self-respecting guy wants to get a relationship with the village bicycle. And you were really young, okay, like college age. And if your number is that high that guys are avoiding going out with you, or now you are made aware of that, that's on you. Those are choices you made. And again, if you're a single mom, this doesn't surprise me, given if you have a reputation for being lots of dudes. Where is the father? Where is he in the whole picture here? Why aren't you involved with him? None of us want to hear it. And again, guys, I want to point out here, this is what you're going to see more and more of. Gals waking up to realize, there's consequences to my actions here when I was being reckless when I was young. And guess what? Guys don't want to date me. And so you're going to see more and more of this. But anyhow, guys, it'll be a pretty funny one. All right, on to the main story. It says here, Dear SSM, thank you for all your good work helping men of all ages. If this makes the cut to become a video, feel free to post wherever you see fit. I had to make this as vague as possible, so a lot of the finer details had to be omitted. Oh, and American English is my only language, so mistakes are likely to have been made. Well, you can call me Rick. I'm 66 years old, and I would like to send you the story of marriage. But I do not think I would survive all the smacks. But don't worry, I'll get plenty well-deserved smacks here. Well, now you got to send me the story of your marriage because you set yourself up for that. And I'll get my smack in hand ready. Instead, this is my story of how they always come back and back and back. And with my first true love. I first met Jane back in 1973/74 in middle school, and we had some small talk at the lockers, but never went beyond small talk that ended with her just walking away. Later on, she told me that she was just shy back then. Well, fast forward to high school, I turned 16 years old and got my driver's license, and it was time to start dating. I went to a small country school that had basically 3 groups of people: the jocks, the nerds, and the druggies. I was in the middle group with a small part of jock. She was in the third group. I was a classic good guy and still am to some degree, but USSM are helping to fix that. So, okay, this is high school now, you're 16, so this is probably like 1976. I'm totally picturing the movie Dazed and Confused. I'm sure many of you guys have seen that movie there. It's a classic, a very entertaining one. And that's what I'm picturing here. And yeah, the jocks, the nerds, and the druggies. Yep. Well, I finally asked Jane out, and we started dating regularly. Me exclusively, and as I later learned, her not so much. That's usually how it goes. Our dates were the usual dates of 16, 17-year-olds. Fast food, cheap movies, and some kissing and groping in the car afterwards. She never let me go past second base, even though there were always protection in the car. Yeah, well, as the saying goes, they make rules for the betas and they break rules for the alphas. And at that time, she saw you as a beta. Well, then came the day it all changed. She was laying across the bench seat of the car, her head in my lap, looking up at me. I had my hand up Jane's top to caress her when I discovered that they felt different. I knew right away that she was pregnant, and I told her that I knew. That was the only time our date ended early. You mean the whole thing ended permanently? Oh, hell no. You think she's your girlfriend. And by the way, oh yeah, smack for getting involved with the druggie. But then again, this is the 70s. I guess pretty much everybody was smoking something then. But regardless, she's hooking up with somebody else and you're not getting anything. That's the point. They ain't getting it from you, they're getting it someplace else. Well, after about a week, she called and explained that she was seeing the other guy for her drugs, and things just happened when she was high. Oh, okay. What a good explanation. That solves everything. I guess she gets a free pass. No, I don't think so, honey. No matter what the damage was done, I do have to give her credit, though. She stopped all the drugs, and when she told her mother about her pregnancy, she was quick to say that I was not the father. Okay, I'll give her credit for that, too, because normally they'd pick the best candidate who could be a good father and provide. That was probably the second big blow to her mother about it. Her mother liked me very much and did not like the baby daddy. Well, of course. Well, she ended up marrying the baby daddy and had a girl. We will call the daughter Sue. As for me, I never dated again in high school. Yeah, after a potential close call like that, I wouldn't either. I got on my grind and completed high school a semester early, got my first real job, and started part-time in college. I was 18 years old at the time and working in an entertainment business that catered mostly to preteen and younger teens, so there was little opportunity to date. I was still living at home and got a few random phone calls from a girl, but would not tell me her name. This was before cell phones and caller ID. Sometimes when she called, I would hear a noise in the background, and she would quickly hang up the phone. I just wrote off as one of the young girls that would frequent my work, so I told her to stop in my department and say hello. So yeah, you just heard somebody on the end of the phone, you're just like, all right, enough, just stop by and see me. See, they always come back. Well, a while later, guess who shows up? Yes, it was Jane with one of her younger sisters in tow. I helped them get the stuff they needed and set them out for their fun with very little conversation. After all, I was at work. After they walked out, I showed my coworker my hand. It was shaking like the gunslinger's hand in Blazing Saddles. He asked what was going on. I told him that was my ex, and that just walked out. See, she's been calling you and calling you and calling you, and now she's tracking you down at work. That's what they do. You know, that's what you do when a guy walks away. And they keep chasing, you don't give them that validation, they keep upping the ante to finally reach out to you. Well, at the end of the night, when they returned, Jane handed me her phone number and told me that she got divorced and to call her. Yeah, I wouldn't hold your breath, honey. Really? Let's see. You're a teen single mom, kind of like the girl in the freaking clip I showed at the beginning of the story. You're divorced already. You're a cheater. You did a heck of a lot of drugs. Nah, no thanks. At this point, her baby Sue was about 6 months old, and the two of them lived in an apartment downtown. You know, I gotta say, a little intermission here, this sounds familiar to me. I've covered a lot of stories in my time, but this does kind of sound familiar to me. Are you sure you didn't send this to me before? Like maybe this is a Cliff Notes version? I don't know, I'm having deja vu here. Maybe I'm wrong. I mean, I've done a lot of videos. But nevertheless, I'm doing this anyway. Yes, I used the number and gave her a call. What? Smack! Bro, you were doing so good. We set up a quote-unquote date at her apartment, and I went to see her. More like a babysitting session. We talked most of the night away, and when the time came to sleep, all three of us, me, Jane, and the baby Sue, slept in the same mattress on the floor. No, nothing happened, not even a spark of what once was. After the night, we both went our own ways, and I did not see her again. Until... Well, bro, I'm glad you went your separate ways, but to no surprise, she's going to come back, because they always come back. I had a gal that I was friends with when I was 19, really pretty girl in school, and she got pregnant, and and we were this close to start dating because things were falling out between her and her boyfriend, and I really liked her, really pretty girl, probably one of the best looking girls that liked me at the time. And then literally right when it was she was gonna break up with the guy and start dating me, boom, she let me know that she got pregnant. And obviously she was gonna keep the child because that's who she was. And she did the whole, I don't want to break up with him because he's the father. And I was just like, whew, thank God we weren't fooled around or anything like that. Or, she told me she broke up with him, but really was with him. I can't imagine that hell. But anyhow, a year later, she had the kid, lost the weight, looked good again. And guess who she's after? Me. Because I was a prime candidate as a good guy, and it was like, oh, hell no. Wonder what happened to her. She had that kid in 1998. So that kid's like 20, almost 28 years old. Holy crap. Anyway, several years later, on my 21st birthday, and also my wedding night, Jane showed up at the reception. What? Does she want to get her butt kicked by your wife? The hall had 2 levels, and she cornered me on the landing in between to hug me. My bride then turned the corner at the top of the stairs. Luckily, my bride saw I was not returning the hug, nor was I enjoying it. You know how badly that could have gone if she saw it a little earlier or a little later or something. After her Hail Mary pass did not work at me, she made a pass at my best man, Chuck. Unfortunately for him, she landed that one. 6 months later, they were married. Smack to Chuck. Does not Chuck not know that she's just wants a baby daddy, someone to pay the bills, and probably get close to you? My bride and I escaped that small town and moved halfway across the country. About a year and a half later, we got a phone call from Chuck. He and Jane had moved 2 hours away, and they needed a place to stay because he lost his job. Of all the places, they got to come to you. We told them they could stay for 1 week and 1 week only because that was the rule of the apartments, even though it could have been 2. But I gave them time to get some money from their parents to move back home. When they arrived, it was the 2 of them and Sue, now a preschooler, and the kicker is that Jane was 7.5 months pregnant. We got along with Chuck and the kid fine, but Jane wisely stayed in the spare room. Like, what are you going to say? Hey, honey, this is the chick that hugged me at the wedding reception. We kept them to the 1 week rule. They got the money from their families and we're gone. How interesting that she comes back to you in life again. The wife and I moved back to our home state. Another one of our high school friends, Chuck and mine, was about to get married, so Chuck had the bachelor party at his house. As the drinking and card games were about to start, Jane stopped by to grab something, and I could tell right away Jane was back to her old ways. That's because people don't change. A leopard doesn't change its spots. I knew Chuck's marriage was over. He just didn't know it yet. Didn't you warn Chuck? I'm guessing you did, and he didn't listen. She left him 2 months later, leaving him with their 2-year-old son and Sue, who was about 6 years old at the time. So Jane abandoned her daughter. This chick's a scumbag. I stayed in contact with Chuck off and on throughout the years, and Sue, to this day, calls me Uncle. She knows Jane and I had a thing for a bit, but do not know how in-depth it went. It was years later, after Chuck and Jane's divorce, that Sue learned who was her blood father. Then in 2022, Jane contacted me on Facebook and informed me of Chuck's passing and the upcoming remembrance in his honor. Wow, so you're talking about really fast-forwarding in time here. I made the hour drive alone, my wife does not travel well these days, to attend it and to see Chuck's surviving family. I was not sure Jane would be attending or not. When I arrived, Jane was not there. But Sue was there and greeted me with a big hug, saying, "Hello, Uncle Rick," and gave me a big hug. Well, that's nice. Jane's older sister was also there. I never met that sister before, but I knew at one time she had a crush on my older brother. Like I said, we were in a small country school. When Jane arrived, she says hellos to her direct family and sat on the edge of the table. I finished my conversation with one of Chuck's brothers and walked up to Jane. I said to her, "You don't recognize me, do you?" She replied, "No." Then from off to the corner, Sue said, "Mom, that's Uncle Rick." Well, didn't you say that she reached out to you on Facebook? So how the hell does she not recognize you? I mean, unless, like, I don't know, your profile picture is your dog. And you don't post many pictures of yourself or something like that. But okay, whatever. Well, Jane jumped off the table, grabbed my hand, and pretended to haul me off, saying, "I'm not done with you yet." She then gave me a hug that lasted longer than I was comfortable with. When the hug was over, I asked her older sister if she knew who I was, and she replied, "Yes, you and our brother look alike." After that, there was a little small talk with Jane about families, and she told me that she really effed up getting pregnant and having to let me go. I think I dodged a big one. Brother, you dodged a freaking ICBM, man. At the end of the event, goodbyes were said, no hug, and I have not talked to her since. Nor do I plan to. So to date, of this story is they always come back. Thanks again, SSM, for all your hard work. Yes, they do. And it's interesting, the low lives especially always come back because they're, in their mind, as a man, you're always that same guy. Now, I get people generally don't change, but a lot of guys who essentially were these pushover nice guy types, not many, but a lot will learn and will at least shed that part of their personality being a pushover, but still be the same guy otherwise. And a lot of these types that took advantage of them just assume they're always going to be that way. Or a lot of these gals are so narcissistic, they think they're so amazing, that no matter what, that guy will be happy to take them back in a heartbeat. Even though they're scumbags and they've gotten older and put on 100 pounds and lost all their looks, they still think they're just as stunning as they were in their 20s as they are in their 40s, 50s, and 60s. No, not at all. But anyhow, bro, good for you. I'm glad you got rid of her that time, and you made the right choice. And I do hope things are well with your wife. You said she doesn't travel very well. All right, guys, that's it for today. Be sure to comment down below. Let me know what you think about this. And you got a good story to share, send it my way. strongsuccessfulmale@gmail.com. And if it's a good one, I'll definitely cover it. And be sure to like the video, share it with your friends, and subscribe. I'll catch you next time.